So, the Rings of Power episode 3 is out, and it's definitely a bit slower than the previous episodes. However, there are some pockets of action. Haven't been a fan of the dwarves in the first two episodes of the series, as you can tell by my last video. It was a bummer, really, not to see them pop up in this episode, but it's still understanding that we have to see a lot of all the other characters, and we can't continuously show the one, race of dwarves throughout this whole first season. So Galadriel and Arondir each needed their moments on screen, and this is kind of their time to shine, and more character development has happened around them. So that's good to see, though. But so Galadriel actually continues her journey to find Sauron, but is picked up on a boat and taken into Numenor. Upon being taken into Numenor, we finally get to meet Elendil, which is Isildur's father. A little bit of a background on that is that Sildur is the heir to Gondor. We get to see Sildur back in Lord of the Rings #1 in the battle between the elves and Sauron. He's actually the one who picks up his father's sword and cuts Sauron's hand off. So we get to finally put a face to Sildur. He is young, so obviously this is very, very prior to the battle between Sauron and the elves when Isildur takes up his father's sword. Other than what's actually happening in Numenor, we get to see some really cool orc action. So we get to see bad orcs moving through the southlands of Middle-earth as they're digging their trenches and staying away from sunlight. I actually enjoy the look of the orcs. This is, you got to understand, very, very, very prior to anything in Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. So they're not going to look as deformed and mutated as they would, being, kept away for so long. These are actually orcs that are kind of still living on land, but I can definitely say that I didn't really enjoy the CGI of the Warg. This is kind of like the dogs that we get to see in Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers. It must have definitely been a puppy or a baby Warg, but it's okay. I mean, the CGI was a bit not really captivating enough, but still nonetheless we get to see it, which is cool. And then lastly, there is the final scene of the episode, which is pretty much the best scene of the whole episode, where we get to see this figure walking through as his name gets shouted. It's not really a name that gets shouted, just to let you know. They're shouting Ada, 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 and Ada actually means father. So whoever this person or being is definitely a higher figure, someone like a god to the orcs. All right, and that's a wrap up for episode 3. So I give it a solid 3.5 out of 5, and see you in the next one.